Moving on, we are focusing on Karnataka. Even after many weeks of the election results and the new government being formed, there are more and more issues that are coming up with the Congress's poll guarantees. Now, Karnataka government's Shakti scheme, which offers free bus rides to women on straight-run buses across the state, has run into trouble with regular bus users expressing dissatisfaction due to increased rush. Due to rides being free for all women, overcrowding in buses has now become a significant cause of concern. The majority of regular commuters, including students, are now criticizing the government and urging chief ministers to introduce additional buses as soon as possible. Now, there's been a 23% spike in ridership, but with no increase in the number of buses. So existing infrastructure is now stretched to its absolute limits, which was not great to begin with. Daily buses are now struggling with crowds greater than capacity. There are only 21,500 buses for over 1 crore daily commuters now. But this isn't the only Congress poll guarantee affected by either roadblocks or backlash. Congress promised 10 kilograms free rice to the poor, but the state didn't have enough provisions on money to fulfill this scheme. The centre also refused to provide additional rice needed for the state government's process. Other state governments also refused or didn't respond to Karnataka's request. So the Karnataka government has now planned to give 5 kilograms of rice and transfer money for the rest to the beneficiaries. Their 200 units of electricity free promise was also met with skepticism because the fine print was vastly different from the promise. Meanwhile, soon after the Congress came to power, electricity prices were hiked, inviting backlash. And industry in the state is also upset because prices for them have increased, affecting business. There is this promise of 2,000 rupees monthly to the woman head of the house, which was also met with backlash as it created issues within families of who will get that money. Besides, the terms and conditions fine-tuned beneficiaries to a large extent, as women paying tax or husbands or sons paying GST were excluded. The fifth scheme for money was for money for graduates, which has also faced similar issues. So the big question we're asking today, are the freebies, quote-unquote, backfiring for the common public?
Even as women passengers in Karnataka are enjoying free bus rides as part of Congress government's ambitious scheme, the Shakti scheme, the state-run transport corporations are struggling to keep pace and demand as overcrowded buses has become a major cause for concern. Well, I am right now in Majestic, which is a popular bus stop in the Bengaluru, and here you can see in the BMTC bus how people are all very standing with no space and are really struggling as well to find space for themselves. So, well, that is the reality right now. Well, many are here appreciating Congress government's Shakti scheme, but right now they are also demanding that the Congress government should really come up with an solution immediately, because there is a lack of bus facility in just not one part of Karnataka but also across the state.
ಫುಲ್ ಬಸ್ಸು ಫುಲ್ಲು ಯಾವುದು ಖಾಲಿ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಫುಲ್ ರಶ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೊಂದು ಮೇನ್ ಥಿಂಗು. ಇವಾಗ ಒಂದು ಫುಲ್ ರಶ್ ಆಯ್ತಾರೆ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಬಸ್ಸೇ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಹಿಂದೆ. ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬಸ್ ಬೇಗ ಬೇಗ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡಿದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇದೆ ಬಸ್ಸು.
रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दीजिएगा, 2 ट्रिप से ज़्यादा ना करें तो हो सकता है थोड़ा सा कम हो जाए. This is the only solution I can suggest.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೇಡಮ್, ಇವಾಗ ಡೈಲಿ ಹೋಗುವಂತವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಸಮಸ್ಯೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ತುಂಬಾ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇವಾಗ ಫ್ರೀ ಅಂತ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಲೇಡೀಸು ಕೂಡ ಯಾತ್ರಾ ಸ್ಥಳಗಳಿಗೆ ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಫುಲ್ ಒಬ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಬ್ರು ಬೀಳೋದು ಹಿಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದು ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ಟಿ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಜನರು ಕೂಡ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬಸ್ಗಳಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ತಂದ್ರೆ ಬೆಟರ್ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ.
ನಮಗೂ ತುಂಬ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗಿದೆ ಇವಾಗ ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯರು ಮಾಡಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅವರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಆದರೂ ಬಡವರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದಾರಿ ತೋರ್ಸೋಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ನಮಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಇವಾಗ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ನಮಗೂ ತುಂಬ ಕಷ್ಟ ಇದೆ. ಡೈಲಿ ಇವಾಗಲೂ
ಬಸ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದರಿಂದ ತುಂಬ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. 300-400 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಸಂಪಾದನೆ ಮಾಡೋದೇ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ ಹೊಡೆದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಮು. ಒಂದು ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ ಜಂಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 500-1000 ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಫೈನು. ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ವಿಪರೀತ ತೊಂದರೆನೇ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಒಂದು ಜೀವನಕ್ಕೆ ದಾರಿ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬೇಡ, ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು, ಗಾಡಿ ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು, ಮನೆ ಸಂಸಾರ ನಡೆಸಬೇಕು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ಇದಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಬೇರೆ 2 ವೀಲರ್ ರ್ಯಾಪಿಡ್ ಬೇರೆ ಹೊಡಿತಾವ್ರಿ.
ಓಲಾ ಒಬ್ಬರೆಲ್ಲ ತುಂಬ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಆ ಒಂದು ರಿಲೇಷನ್ಶಿಪ್ಪು ಎಲ್ಲ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಇವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ಈಗ ವೈಟ್ ಬೋರ್ಡರೆಲ್ಲ ರ್ಯಾಪಿಡೋ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಮಗೆ ಬಾಡಿಗೆನೂ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಸರ್. ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ ಅಂತ ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಯಾರು ಲಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವ್ರು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
Let's go across to our guest joining us. Dr. Sudha Halkai is the spokesperson of Karnataka BJP. Dhruv Jati is spokesperson of the Congress party. So Dhruv, the question that arises is on so many fronts, whether the state could afford it, whether these are morally right to give handouts as election promises before you can, organize a scheme and provide funds for it. Even there are unintentional, side effects that are now emerging from auto drivers not finding enough daily business to overcrowding in buses. Did the Congress think through these promises?
Of course, Shivani, and the priority has been to empower women. And that remains centric to the fact that we launched the free bus pass scheme. Because I see a lot of the clippings were taken in Bangalore, but from where I speak right now, which is Kittur, Karnataka's Bagalkot district, I can tell you women who have found it very difficult to travel are now traveling very happily, simply because they have access to transportation to be present in different parts of the state. And that's the reality, especially in rural parts of Karnataka. And people have been embracing the scheme more or less, yes.
But the issue is that, for example, you may say that this is about a few cities in Karnataka. The issue is that the money is always better spent. The money that you will provide for this scheme to make it free for women to travel in certain buses, that money is always better spent in augmenting the bus fleet. That will take care of women too and others too.
Shivani, no doubt we've seen an overwhelming response in terms of women using this scheme to the most beneficial way. And of course, we do realize that there has been overcrowding with the buses, and that's something that the government is looking into. But again,
do you have the money to increase fleet now? Do you have the money to increase fleet now? You don't have the money to fulfill your guarantees.
No, that's a great question, and I'm sure you will receive your answer to that once the budget is out. And I can tell you it's a pretty comprehensive budget that's in the mix of things. But again, centric to this entire thing is the fact that women have been empowered in the state, and that is what we must be looking at. Because
we had a woman speaking to us who was talking about how that it is free and women are using it for greater travel, which is great, but they're also falling over each other. This also puts their life and limb in danger.
No doubt, I agree with that. The fact that the fleet size is something that we have to look into, and the government has taken cognizance of the issue. But nothing nonetheless. But because rural women, in fact, are being empowered, and that's something that's happening in Karnataka.
Let Dr. Halkai respond to that. The intention is good, and the beneficiaries are actually making use of the scheme. That is also one way to look at it.
Shinoli, first and foremost, the very fact that we are debating on this topic itself shows that how pathetic is the situation in Karnataka. First of all, the Congress government has completely taken a U-turn. Second, there is a saying in Hindi, "Haathi ke daat dikhane ki kuch aur, khane ki kuch aur hai." The same thing they're doing. And third thing is they don't have the culture of executing their commitments what they have given earlier. And you can see, before we coming into the debate, before me and the Congress spokesperson speaking here, you have already taken the views of the common people, the auto rickshaws and the private buses and all. They are saying, they have stabbed on the bread and butter of auto rickshaws and the private transportation people. And Shinal, tell me, see, this was done for the BPL card holders or the poor or whatever it is, what they claimed, they were just plotting for the elections to get over. It is nothing of proper planning and execution as well. And the affordable and as well as the unaffordable people have opted this. And more of it, the unaffordable people are the sufferers today, and the affordable people, they're enjoying it today. How far this is doing the justice to the people of Karnataka?
Can Dhruv respond to it very quickly? That those who really needed it are also not benefiting fully, because those who don't need it are taking benefit of this scheme. Dhruv, very quickly.
They're going for wages. And what are the unaffordable people, women who are suffering, who are going on the daily wages? I can see my own clinic attendant. They are not getting the buses. How frequently the buses used to come. Now it's not coming.
Okay, let him respond.
Because they're at loss. KSRTC is in huge loss today. Hundreds of crores of money.
Let him respond, please. Dhruv, very quickly, I have 30 seconds.
Miss Sudha, see, the fact that KSRTC went under loss has